Hello my beautiful hammerheads and welcome back to episode 0 of Malifaux lore, how to get into it from the viewpoint of a newcomer. So Malifaux, great story. I've read a little bit into it. Everywhere I look, everyone kinda knows what's going on. I feel a little bit lost. And even though there are many videos out there from multiple great content creators, all of them come from a point in which they know what happened, they try to explain stuff. For me personally, even though the videos are great, I still kind of felt lost. So this is now my quest to go through the whole story with you guys, so we can experience all of this together. Who's a member on this channel for a little bit longer, you know the kind of lore videos I made and the narrating videos I made for Age of Sigmar and 40k. This is going to be like that. I will put pictures up right here in the corner and, well, talk about the lore, because I don't think you want to see me sit here and read the lore to you while you look at my face. In this video I will show you my favorite content creators for Malifaux, how you can navigate the site where I get all the content from, because it's also important for you. And as the beginning of the lore only had 5 factions, I will talk about these 5 factions as well, so we can dive into the story in the next video without any further explanations. Content creators. First of all, we have here Corner Case. He's a great guy, he's our best friend, and he makes some great Malifaux videos. My favorite one is this here, Insane Madness of Malifaux Spoilers, Asian Representation Success, and as Asian himself, he knows what he's talking about. So great stuff. And also he's talking not only lore but rules as well. And the rules talk is not only for Malifaux but for other stuff as well. Then we have, as I'm aware of, the current lore master of Malifaux, Defective Dice. Great guy, awesome videos. I can't recommend him enough. His lore deep dive videos about the masters are great. He shows everything that happened with the miniatures, which is something I kinda wanted to do myself for the Games Workshop stuff, but yeah, I'm a slow painter. And he is the one who provided us this reading order, which we will use for the videos. So thank you for that. And last but not least, if you just want rules, no lore whatsoever, Malifaux University is great. It's well built like in the university. I recommend the playlists. You have the basics, need to know, playing the game, complete advanced rules, and everything is explained in a real simple and excellent way. Again, can't recommend him enough. Then for everything else, the, of course, Malifaux homepage. Here under community, under resources and media, you can find basically everything. Under resources, you have the game cards for every character, you have the rules, you have build instructions, you have the erratas, and so on. Under media, you have the Weird Chronicles, which we will talk about in a moment. We have the digital wallpapers, which are the pictures I'm going to use in the lore videos, and those are amazing. Not only factions, you have every master wallpaper for your phone, and great stuff. Also from the other games, which are also set in the Malifaux universe. Then I hear you say, but all of this lore is so expensive. It is so big. How are you going to do this, Beard? Well, first of all, it's not Games Workshop. It's pretty easy. You just click here and you go through Drive Through RPG and you have every Weird Chronicle issue. There are 39 of them and they are free, which is amazing. It's so great to see stuff like this. And for everything else which was on the list of Defective Dice, You just search for Malifaux bundles, and I have here the second bundle as an example because it's the more expensive one. You have the core rulebook of 2nd edition and every expansion, and it just costs €8.55 or your regional equivalent. So, and even though the Chronicles are free, I'm not going to show them on the channel. First of all, they are watermarked with my real name, so yeah, that's not happening. And the other thing is, I believe you don't want to look at my face while I sit here and read the lore for you. So the Chronicles are going to be verbatim. I will read everything for you. And the ones I pay for, those are going to be a little bit different. Those are going to be my usual lore video stuff. So, Malifaux is a world parallel to ours, basically. So before we dive into the factions, at release of the first rulebook, there were 5 factions and 3 of them were explained in the Weird Chronicles. And I will explain those 3 because I presume that they are introducing the factions in a specific order. So we will see. And at the end, I will do a little bit of a summary and thoughts about all of this. So let's go! The Neverborn. Although the criminals and rogue practitioners living in Malifaux make life the rough and difficult, nothing compares to the deadliness and cruelty of the Neverborn. Given shape and form by the myths and nightmares buried deep inside human minds, the Neverborn seek to destroy all humanity as if to inoculate against a plague. Simply mentioning the Neverborn can cause even the most hardened criminals to pale with fear, as most do not escape an encounter. The Neverborn are creatures brought to life in Malifaux as a side effect of the practice of dark and horrible magic many centuries ago by the original inhabitants. Each malicious and destructive spell cast caused more evil to enter the world, until finally the evil thoughts became all too real. Neverborn. At first, the Neverborn were small, weak, and without any physical form, unable to inflict damage. Over time, however, they found that they could tap into the darkest recesses of a person's mind and take on physical forms inspired by the nightmares, myths, and legends. The original inhabitants of Malifaux, who saw them as great demons and creatures of living fire, worked powerful spells to contain them. However, the spells grew weak over time, and the Neverborn were eventually able to escape their prison. After destroying every living thing in Malifaux, the Neverborn retreated and became dormant. The breach of the Great Barrier awakened some of the Neverborn. After finding humans repopulating Malifaux and observing them for some time, the Neverborn attacked and destroyed them all. As a warning to the people on the other side, the Neverborn sent a corpse through the breach with the word "Ours" carved into the ruined flesh. When the breach reopened 100 years later, the humans were better prepared with powerful spells to help protect Malifaux and the various mining towns. Although the spells are mostly effective, the Neverborn have become even more powerful and their numbers continue to grow. The Neverborn regard Malifaux as their domain and will stop at nothing to eradicate every living being that dares set foot in their world. Although they despise humans, there are some Neverborn willing to bargain power and knowledge with humans in exchange for sacrifice and service, though often at the cost of the individual's sanity. The Guild. I don't understand why people can't see that fighting for Earther's domain of Malifaux is best for everyone. We do it all for the greater good. The people want us here. They're just afraid to say out loud that they're scared and need our protection. Quote of Abner Matthijssen, Prefect Monarch of the Guild. Make no mistake, the Guild exists for one reason, and one reason only. There is talk of justice and peace, but there are secondary concerns, byproducts of their primary interest. The Guild exists to maintain the production of Malifaux soulstone above all other things. The citizens abide by Guild law because they do offer some amount of protection, but no one is confused about the way they exert their hold over the city and its resources. For thousands of years, sorcerers have been a clandestine and erudite group. Their concerns lay with scholarly pursuits, experiments, and arcane rituals. Rarely did their interest lay with social or political concerns, except where those issues interfered with their private matters. In such times, these sorcerers would gather together to protect their shared interest and leverage their arcane might against the mortal nations of the world. Historically, there is evidence of such cabals, and they feature heavily in a wide variety of conspiracy theories. They have gone by many names, and while some are real, others are imaginary. The existence and activities of the Knights Templar, the Illuminati, the Cult of Set, and a whole host of convents and societies have been debated for centuries. There is no debate about the Guild. It is real. There has been no greater discovery in the history of man than Malifaux and its soulstone, and there is no room for subtlety in its production. Desperate to close its grip on its priceless resource, conjurers, magicians, and wizards all over the world came together to form a corporation. They worked quickly to establish the Guild in Malifaux. This organization would establish law and order in the chaos and violence of Malifaux. Above that, they would ensure that the breach never closed again and that the supply of soulstone was never again threatened. Under the strict authority of the Guild, a city was made anew in the ruins of Malifaux. Today, the Guild exists as a largely self-governing body on the frontier far away from the meddling hands of the wizards that spawned it. Its first duty remains for the soulstone and enforcement of a law that allows for its production. Specialized branches have been developed in order to combat the unique dangers of Malifaux. Chief among those dangers are the nightmarish Neverborn. So zealous is the Guild in stamping out the threat of the Neverborn that almost anyone can become deputized as a Neverborn hunter. The job comes with a rather high casualty rate, as many deputies fail to survive even their first contact with these creatures. However, there are some who excel in this role. Most notably, the famous Ortega family, who is credited with dozens of slain monsters. A magic native to Malifaux, necromancy has proven to be a difficult issue for the Guild to police. The practice of necromancy allows criminals to act via proxy, their reanimated henchmen acting in their place. This often makes it difficult to identify the perpetrator of a crime. The Death Marshals are the division of the Guild responsible for hunting down these criminals and are the grim, stoic faces of final death. While the efforts of the Death Marshals and the Neverborn Hunters are appreciated by Malifaux citizens almost unanimously, the Witch Hunters manifest the Guild's mistrust in the people they profess to protect. Common men, empowered now by the rich energies of Malifaux, represent an unknowable danger to the Guild's establishment. Labeled Arcanists, these individuals practice magics unknown and untested by Earth's ancient schools of magic, and pointedly condemned by the Guild. Untrained, undisciplined, these rogue elements are as much a danger to themselves as they are to the general population, and many Arcanists quickly take to crime upon discovering their new talents. No citizen escapes the vigilant eye of the Witch Hunter, and in the eyes of the Guild, it is best to cut deep to remove this cancer, lest it spread. Together, these bodies enforce the fascist rule of the Guild and ensure the obedience of the population. The soul stones pour from the mines by the very hands of its population, but it is the guild and its benefactors who enjoy the riches of Malifaux. It is a fact that the citizens of Malifaux are unlikely to forgive. The Resurrectionists. People say I hate the living. It is not true. I just happen to see the potential inside all people. Those great things anyone can do if they aren't trapped in their own consciousness and morals. And when I unlock that potential, death is the side effect. I can't help that. Quoted to Dr. Douglas McMorning, Resurrectionist. Resurrectionists. The name is a cruel joke, amusing only to the twisted minds of murderers and grave robbers. Resurrectionists reanimate the dead. But the trait of Resurrectionists results not in a body restored, but a soulless puppet. Their practices are particularly appalling to the citizens of Malifaux, who already must contend with the occupational danger of the mines, a harsh environment, and the nightmare spawn of Neverborn. That some of the most terrible monsters of this world knows are fellow men and women, former friends and family, is a grim realization. Humanity has a long tradition of honoring their dead. In Malifaux, the death effect of soul stones provide difficult existential and religious questions. And resurrectionists are blatant in their desecration of human life. The reanimated dead serve only their selfish, unconscionable goals. On the topic of the resurrectionist threat, there is unanimous support by the population of Malifaux to hunt and capture these monsters. The Governor General's crusade against the necromancy of the Resurrectionists has overwhelming public support. His own personal staff suffered a grisly attack days after he won his position. In later weeks, the missing members of his cabinet were identified in a series of robberies, kidnapping and murders. It was only after an extensive investigation that the true nature of these attacks came to light, that the bodies of the Governor General's staff had succumbed to an unidentified resurrectionist. With that discovery, a special task force, the Death Marshals, were organized to combat the resurrectionist threat. Their methods lack subtlety, but they developed a sophisticated profile used to identify and apprehend their targets. A resurrectionist is often a single individual working alone or with one or two loyal assistants. Due to the gruesome nature of the work, these necromancers are forced to ply their trade in secret. Each one comes up upon his craft through individual study, whether that be in science, magic, or through a Neverborn pact. The art fosters creative resourcefulness, as fresh corpses and strict privacy are continuously in short supply. The Governor's witch hunt has forced necromancers into the abandoned quarantined areas of Malifaux. There, these grim wizards are constantly at odds with the Neverborn, and only those necromancers who show significant aptitude are able to survive. These enterprising individuals fortify the abandoned districts they claim and populate them with shambling undead militias to fight off rival resurrectionists and Neverborn attackers. The Death Marshals have attempted to raid these outposts with moderate success and chilling discoveries. Despite the obvious individualism inherent in these criminals and their methods, curiously similar sigils, devices and journal entries suggest some amount of shared knowledge. The Governor has also discovered that by pushing resurrectionists into the abandoned portions of the city, they have unwittingly encouraged the looting of these areas. Necromancer strongholds are filled with artifacts collected from the haunted streets of Malifaux. Of particular note are the large libraries maintained by these grave robbers, books salvaged from ruins of Malifaux's past. While only a few have managed to be seized intact, the texts suggest a dark patron, a spirit tutoring the necromantic arts, communicating subtly through the mysteries of science and magic, tempting those who crave forbidden knowledge. These texts and artifacts seem to be a source of any shared techniques common amongst these criminals. While many of those aware of these texts believe this patron to be a simple metaphor, other guild members fear this grave spirit is real. Those fears magnify when one considered the armies of the undead marshaled in the outskirts of the city from the vaulted hideaways of their masters. That these resurrectionists might be unwitting lieutenants of a malicious patron would mean that the city is under siege and every dying man is a potential recruit for an ever-growing army of the undead. So, okay, those were the 3 factions we know of right now. We're a little bit prepared for the first issue and the beginning of the story. So yeah, nothing really to talk right now. Something about a breach. I know what the breach is. I spoiled myself with this a little bit, but we will have this in the next video. And it's basically the beginning of the story. What are your thoughts of all of this? Please leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section down below. I am keen to know what you have to say. And while you're down there, do all the YouTube stuff because hinting buttons is fun. If you want to support the channel and you don't know what to say, just write Malifaux in the comments. Have a great day, my friend. Stay fantastic. Stay hydrated. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!